going on to all my Stranger Things fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again, and speaking of back again, we got the return of Stranger Things. We're breaking down Chapter 1, which was titled Hellfire Club, clocking in at an hour and 18 minutes long. Whew, I'm so happy to be back in Hawkins with these characters, and I'm so excited to be here with you all breaking down this episode here in this spoiler review. Before we get into all the discussions here, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And if you all enjoyed this spoiler review of Season 4, Episode 1, Chapter 1 of Stranger Things, well, make sure you're liking this review as well as sharing it. But more importantly, sharing your thoughts in the comments only on Chapter 1. Last night was a pretty long night. I watched the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan at 12 o'clock at night. Then I jumped right into this hour, 18-minute long episode. So I've only seen Chapter 1. So just let me know your pros, your cons, your thoughts and theories for what you hope to see. You've probably finished it by now, but let me know your thoughts in the comments of this first chapter in this new season in the comments below. And based on the engagement and how I feel about the episodes, I'm still debating if I want to do a episode by episode breakdown, and it won't be like given to you all by today. It's going to probably be over the course of this weekend, maybe leading into early next week, but I'm debating on what to do with the series. So again, based on the engagement, based on your feedback, I might break down each episode, or I might just come back with you all to discuss episodes that really stood out to me, and we'll have, we'll wrap it up with like a Indian Explained breakdown review of the final episode of this particular part of Season 4. So that's how we're going to probably handle Stranger Things this weekend, because I mean, dude, hour 10, hour 15, hour and a half episodes. It's mini movies at this point. But let's just jump right into it. Again, this is a spoiler review breakdown discussion about this first chapter. And I guess just to kind of establish myself for you all that might be first time watching this channel, I am a big Stranger Things fan. I have reviewed the previous 3 seasons on this very channel. So if you want to get my thoughts on those episodes, you can do so. I'll leave that playlist in the description of this video. Big fan. I recently, this past week, watched seasons 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back, just to kind of get back into the mindset, get back in the upside down, go back to Hawkins and these characters, and I'm very excited about this new season, and here we are discussing it. So again, full spoilers ahead. Let's start this review off in this discussion about the plots, I should say, that aren't too enticing based on this first chapter. And I want to start off by talking about the lovebirds. I'm talking about Nancy and Jonathan. Now, for me, I think one of them needs to be killed off by the end of this season, because Jonathan, I enjoy the actor. I enjoy the narrative of the brother, big brother, who cares for his little brother, seems to be a good guy, makes the right decisions. But to me, his story ended back in season 1, and they're just prolonging, just kind of dragging him along with this show, because he really doesn't have that much to add to the main plot besides being the loving brother, good guy, good boyfriend. He's very stale, in my opinion, and he really kind of brings down Nancy's stock, because she is way more compelling. She's a go-getter. She has a lot more drive. She's more interesting, in my opinion, and they don't balance each other out. Like, I feel like she's much more of a compelling character. And Jonathan, I know there's a lot of Jonathan fans out there, but to me, he's the least interesting character of this entire show. And when we meet him in this season, he's just kind of a smoking weed. He has his friend, and the whole like, okay, we love each other. Again, to me, based on Chapter 1, and it might get better. I doubt it will, because again, I feel like their plot ended 3 seasons ago, in my opinion. But to me, I think we'll talk about my theories a little bit later, but that, to me, right now, is the least interesting thing about this new season so far. But again, we'll see if it gets better. And I'll eat my own words if it's like the best plot by the end of this show. I would be surprised if that happens. But moving from that love couple to the will they, won't they, Joyce, Hopper, mixing Murray into the mix, and I assume, based on how this particular episode ended with the doll and the Russian package from Hopper saying he's alive, I'm not all that hyped. I personally think the way they handled the Hopper death, or the fake death of season 3, was so mishandled. They just couldn't keep their mouth shut. They just had to let us know that he was coming back, that he put him in the promotions. That would have been such a great little reveal if they would have kept that close to the vest. I know there's leaks, there's spoilers, but I mean, that would have been, they bit the bullet on that. They did not handle that plot well in regards to just letting people know that he was still alive. Even the post-credit scene of season 3 with Not the American was just too obvious. But neither here nor there. This potential, what I assume to be a rescue mission to save Hopper, I'm not all that interested in them. I'm a big fan of Joyce. Murray's a fun character. Don't get me wrong, I am a Hopper fan, but it's just not that interesting. And it seems, if this is the case, that they're going to be on this rescue mission, they're going to be on their own plot, which I'm not all that interested in. But hey, we'll see. Let me know what you all hope to get. Again, if you've seen the previous episodes, don't let me know what happens, but just let me know, based on your experience with Chapter 1, what were you hoping to get with that plot? Which brings us into the plots that I'm somewhat interested in. And I want to start off by talking about, I'm a big fan, and this more so goes to me being a fan of her as an actress, an up-and-coming actress. I'm referring to Maya Hawke, who plays Robin, and her discovering herself, this relationship she's trying to get into, or discover if the girl that she likes is even into her, and if she even likes girls, and then throwing Steve into the mix, and them just kind of being on this path of discovering who they want to be, seeking approval, seeking love from other people. That plot to me is very interesting, because those two characters, number one, are so much fun. I am such a big Steve fan, and I'm going to get into my theories a little bit later with Steve, but I just think their chemistry between Robin and Steve is just one of the more shining parts of season 3 for me, and I just love them on screen, and I'm very interested to see where they take their narrative in this new season. And then the next part of the somewhat interesting, compelling elements of this first chapter, and what I hope to get in this new season, the powerless, heartbroken 11, or should I call her Jane? She's dealing with grief, and when the girls were picking on her and making fun of her, the way she made her, hero story, and obviously still broken English, the way she's talking, broken language. I'm an L fan. I'm an 11 fan. We opened the season, which we already saw the first 8 minutes. They released that like a week ago, but it was still very, very shocking. I personally don't think that is 11. I think she's possessed by the big bad that we'll talk about at the end of this review, but I really feel bad for her. Now, Will's character is just floating. He's an upside down with this show and this narrative. I don't know what they're trying to do with Will. I know they hinted at his sexuality and what he might be into. Mike might be, that painting. He is painting something. Who's on that other side of the painting? That would be interesting. But I don't know if they know exactly what they're trying to do with Will, and hopefully they don't fumble the bag. If this is a particular plot where they're going to say that he is gay, and it would be very interesting to see. But right now, the way they're handling it is just kind of just like, we'll figure it out as we go along. So we'll see what's going on with there. And again, going back to L. O'Brenner situation, I'm going to get into a theory a little bit later, but I'm very intrigued to see, with her knowing that he's still alive, how that's going to play into that plot. But getting into easily, by far, the most interesting elements of this first chapter, which overall, I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but I did enjoy this premiere. Don't get it twisted with some of the negative things I said so far. I was very much a fan of this premiere. But getting into the meat and potatoes, our crew, Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, the whole D&D Hellfire Club angle versus the Lucas trying to get out of that box of being a loser, hits the game-winning shot, which I love the way they cut that when they were playing the D&D game and they were playing the basketball game. I felt the intensity. I really enjoyed that cut and how they put that together, and him hitting the shot like I mentioned, and him looking for his friends to be there, and they weren't there, which I think is going to establish the older they're getting, the further apart they're growing. And he even sees his little sister, who Erica is just that young lady does such a great job. I'm a big fan of her, and the way she talked to Eddie, who we're going to talk about here in a second, I really enjoyed that. But he's like, man, they already replaced me. I think he's going to veer off and get more into maybe, I don't think they're going to establish him as like this jock bully to his old friends, but that might be something they do, is to spice things up, is make one of the closer, more important characters somewhat become a pseudo-villain of a certain extent, like I said, like a jock per se. So we'll see what's going on there. That very, very much intrigued me. Next to that is the Max. Everything going on with Max in this first episode. Going through her depression, going through her anxiety, losing Billy, obviously, last season. Her mom going through this divorce, going through this alcoholism and all that stuff. That, to me, was very strong, very compelling. And she's lost right now, and I really am very intrigued to see what they do with Max, because she was killing it in this first episode, and I'm very much excited to see what they do with that. Which brings me to my new favorite character. Last but not least, I'm talking about Eddie, y'all. I don't know how y'all felt about Eddie, but that actor, I have to look up his filmography. He has so much charisma and so much charm, and just like the mixture of being this head of the D&D. He's 2 years, late from graduating high school. He has so much screen presence. I was just so invested in him from the minute he hit the screen, making the big scene at the lunch table, then bringing it down to earth when he's talking to Chrissy, when they're talking about what she's going through in the drug transaction. And then the last scene, which we'll talk about here, Eddie's the man. I hope he sticks around because I am such a big fan of him. And that leads into, again, tying that into Chrissy and how that ties into the big theme of this episode. And that's officially meeting our big bad of the season, who goes by the name of Vecna. I am so invested in this new villain of the show because this is a villain with a face and a body and a voice, and not just a Demogorgon or a big giant mush of people. That is so imposing to me. And he's just kind of this mix between Pennywise meets Freddy Krueger. And it's not a coincidence that Robert Englund is involved in this show. And I'm pretty sure that was his voice that they used for Vecna. But I am so intrigued by this character. And just breaking down the final scene of this episode. They go to the house because she's having some issues. Again, Freddy Krueger, not necessarily sleeping, but she's almost like daydreaming and having these like hallucinations throughout the day. We saw it in the bathroom, very Pennywise moment. It seems like it's going for their fears, and I'm going to get into my theory of what's going on there. But going into his trailer, which Max saw, and again, I mentioned Freddy Krueger. I think this is very much in the vein of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1, when the boyfriend got blamed for the murder. I can see Eddie being blamed for what happened to her, and him maybe either getting arrested, which I don't want to see that because he'll be in jail the whole season, but I think he's going to be on the run the whole season, and our crew is going to help them investigate this murder that's going to be blamed on Eddie. But that moment, when she's daydreaming in her mind, and her mom is like, obviously they had some type of friction and some type of, disagreements in their relationship. She goes into the room. She sees her mom, sees her dad with his eyes shut, zipped up with, oh my goodness, I'm a horror fan. I was loving all that. But when you see him live in the flesh and just like, I can't even do the voice. I'm going to take your pain away, your suffering. And he did the body horror. He puts his hands in her face and we see the body cracking and the eyes busting. Ooh, that was fire. That was easily the most body horrific horror elements of this show so far. And if this is what's to come in this season, I am all here for it. So kind of getting into the transition and wrapping up this video with just kind of overall thoughts of the episode and my theories. This, to me, besides season 1, episode 1, this is the second best premiere of this series so far. Way better than season 2, way better than season 3, in my opinion. It gave us a great idea where these characters are, not only physically, but mentally, where they are in their lives, how they're kind of trying to move on, how some of them can't move on. I loved all that. The scale of the show looks bigger just based on this first episode. Apparently, each episode was like $30 million or something like that, and it shows. And I'm really excited to see what they do. Not just from a visual standpoint, but just from pushing the envelope and pushing the narrative and pushing these characters and diving deep into 11. Growing up, was that her? Was she possessed when she killed those, Order 66 in the first episode here? Very excited for that element. And just, again, I have my issues with, there are a lot of characters in this show, so it does have some fear in those first few plots I mentioned. Jonathan and everything going on with Nancy and Joyce and Murray, saving Hopper plot and the whole Will, what they're going to do with the Will character. That stuff makes me a little bit nervous because it's like we're going to be spending half the show on stuff I care about and then the other half the stuff I don't care about. But I hope it all comes together for a great season. But finishing up with my, and again, second best premiere. That's my overall thoughts of this episode. But finishing off with my theories. I think Vecna is someone that is obviously tied to everything that we got with the Upside Down and the whole connection to D&D. I think that he is haunting the people that lost their loved ones in season 3. All those people in the town, Hawkins, that they talked about in this episode when they became informed to the big monster. I think that for some reason he wants to finish them off. They're suffering. All the people they lost, he's haunting those people, connecting that to what we saw in the trailer with Max levitating, floating in the air, very similar to Chrissy in this episode, I think that is the connective tissue that he wants to just wipe out. Obviously, he wants to take out the town, wants to kill everyone, but in particularly, I think first on priority is the people that were lost in season 3. I might be wrong, but we'll see what's going on there. And I believe 11 will get her powers back with the help of her original papa and Brenner. So I think he's going to be involved in kind of switching the narrative, because we see that they're trying to make him look a lot different in this first episode. Like, he did care, he did have heart. So I think they're going to reform that relationship between the two to help her gain her powers. And then the death count. I think we're going to see not only Jonathan die, Murray's going to die, and I hate to say this, but I think they're going to kill Steve by the end of this particular part of season 4. And I don't think they're going to take out Vecna by the end of this season. I think that this will be a character, or I should say this part. I think they're going to finish him off by this season potentially, but I think he's going to be around for the duration of this particular 7 episodes. So I'm excited. I really enjoyed this premiere episode. It was a lot of fun. The body horror was fantastic, and I'm happy to be back in Hawkins. 1986, baby. So that's my thoughts on Chapter 1. Again, in the comments, just share your thoughts on Chapter 1. Nothing about the other chapters, because I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil that. Of course, you can share your theories and your predictions, but if you've seen all the episodes, don't spoil anything, at least for the first, 3 to 4 days of this video. After that, I'll probably have seen it, and I'll imagine other people have seen it as well. But just be cautious, be courteous and kind in the comments when it comes to spoilers. But hey, again, based on the engagement, based on your response, we can maybe do episode by episode reviews, again, based on the engagement of you all liking, sharing, commenting. And then, of course, I might do those if the episode has enough to interest me to break it down individually. So overall, I'm going to, again, put it in you guys' hand if we want to do episode by episode, or I might pop in when an episode really speaks to me, or I might just wait to the final episode, give you my overall thoughts of the season, a spoiler in and explain what it could mean for the future type of video. So I'm going to put it in you guys' hands. I'm about to watch Chapter 2 and go on from there, so keep an eye out for those breakdowns. I appreciate you all watching this review. Before you leave, make sure to like, share, comment. What did you think about the premiere? What are your theories? What worked? What didn't work? Let's have those discussions in the comments below. Hope you all are staying safe. Thank you again for watching this review. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my other reviews for Stranger Things. Check out my most recent review, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.